Hi friends, welcome to today's Friday devotional. I don't know about you, but I tend to be an efficient person, or I like to think myself that way anyways. I don't like to redo things. If I have to redo something, it feels like it's just not worth it. And that's sometimes how I can look at housework, where it seems like you do it, it's done, and then you have to redo it again. Or cooking supper, it's like you do it and tomorrow you'll have to do the same thing over again. And that can tend to get really frustrating. And even when it comes to like a project, that sometimes going back to the editing process or the refining process can sometimes seem inefficient because I've already done it. But I also run into this in my spiritual life. And so I'm wondering if you have ever experienced this as well, where when you encounter a sin or maybe a concept you're wrestling with, or just something that the Lord is leading you to dive into, and you feel like you work it out, you feel like you really see victory or progress in your perspective or in your ability to resist temptation. Maybe that's what it is. But then you find yourself in maybe a year or two, or continually every year or two, running into the same thing again. Now, there's definitely times when we can get caught in a vicious cycle. That's not what we're talking about today. Today, I want to specifically address that when we do find progress, we feel like we have progressed in an area that God is leading us to, but then we find ourselves coming back to that. What does that mean? And so I want to read to us from Philippians chapter 1, verse 6. It says, "I am sure of this, that he who started a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus." And this is what I'm reminding myself of, even in this moment, in this time, as I'm having to revisit something that I thought I dealt with. And what God is showing me is that he is doing that work of sanctification in my life that isn't just a one-stop shop. It is the continuing work of sanctification. Now, sanctification is it's one of those yes ands, where yes, we are sanctified, but we are also continually being sanctified. And that word, essentially, if you boil it down to layman's terms, is we are just becoming more like Jesus. We are clothed like Jesus when we are saved in that moment of salvation, but we also are continuing to become like Jesus. And that is really just the working of it out in our lives. And what God has in his gracious, compassionate love for us is that he never gives us more than we can handle in that moment. He knows that each time that we have to tackle something, whether it's a sin pattern or a concept that we're really wrestling to have an understanding about, he knows exactly what we have capacity for. He knows exactly what we need to see in those moments. And so the next time he will take us a little bit further and a little bit deeper and know him a little bit more and look a little bit more like Jesus. And so what this verse is telling us today is that God is continuing to do a work in us. And we, at these points of maybe frustration, when it seems like we're inefficiently having to tackle something again, we have a choice. We have a choice to give into that frustration and throw our hands up in the air and say, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. Or we have the choice to say that this is God's continuing work in our lives, and trusting that he will continue that work until it is completed, until the day of Christ Jesus. So that's why I want to leave us with this time. Blessings to you. It's a long weekend here, and so have a great weekend if you're watching this exactly when it comes out. If not, that's okay too. So I'm praying for you, and thank you for spending this little bit of time with me. Bye.